Terrible. Is that inappropriate? Jason was an English major, so he knows this stuff.
That's good. Terribly.
I came up to sort of celebrate with them, and we were drinking, and I'm just looking at this beautiful house and these two totally in love and how they're telling me how they just got married, and I was so overwhelmed, and I'm not that way normally. Like, you wouldn't say that I was like a real advocate of marriage, you know? But I suddenly found myself in this situation where I'm overwhelmed with this love that's around me. And Kim, I think you might have gone to the bathroom or gone to bed. I don't know. Jason came over and he asked me to be his best man. And I don't know if I started crying. It was close. And the reason it was so close to crying is because I didn't realistically think I was even in the running. No, this is not self-pity. Jason has two amazing brothers, and he has so many great friends that I was just, wow, just like that. I thought it was going to be some sort of at least American Idol-ish, you know, like final elimination, and we're going to put it out to a text vote or something. But when he asked me, I was so honored that I said, absolutely, and I made a promise. I said, Kim, I promise there won't be any vulgarity in the speech. I will lose 20 pounds and somebody is going to cry. So I've queued up the scene from The Champ with Rick Schroeder on my phone.
By the way, we have an over-under on this.
Yeah.
Does he know what it is?
No. Now I lost my place.
Go back some.
Okay, so and we actually ran out of the list 5 minutes ago. You know, for some reason I thought like a toast should be I should offer some advice, you know, some Dr. Phil or something, even though I have no expertise in marriages or even relationships. But some people might ask, so Pat, how did you forge such a successful long-term relationship with Jason? And what was the secret? And I thought about this long and hard. And I think it's this. You have to pick the things you really want to argue with him about. You know, because it's always fun. It's just arguing is it's not even arguing, it's discussion. It's deep discussion. It's philosophical. But sometimes when he tells you about his idea and this was only 3 weeks ago, to open a drive-through latte stand featuring nothing but shirtless guys. He actually offered his brother Chris as sort of the stereotypical barista. You just sort of go, okay, you know what? It's got legs. But when it comes to other things like the specific shelf placement of a clock, now that's something you can dig your teeth into and spend an hour or two. For as long as I've known Jason and Kim, when I wrote these, I really felt like there was a lot more of you in it. And it is. We're getting to it.
Keep going. I'll win.
Jason's, in my opinion, his most endearing quality as a friend is his loyalty. I mean, Jason is like a bulldog as far as a friend goes. You could call him at 2 in the morning and ask him to come pick you up, bail you out of jail, even if it's in Oregon. And he will do it. Kim, will you look right here? Look.
No, shit. I can't
There was one time in particular where I got a tick. And in the most inconvenient of places, the banks of the Deschutes River. And of the 15 friends that surrounded me, as I was unable to deal with the problem myself, one person came forward. And while I won't say he had the hands of a surgeon, he worked non-stop. While the rest of the guys joked, cavorted, and took video. Until most of that tick was removed. And to my knowledge, I do not have Lyme's disease. The other sort of long-standing thing, and I think the tone was set early on in our relationship, were trips to the ER. It started in Little League Baseball when Jason was catching for Don Giles. Short pop-up, they both ran out head-to-head. Biggest goose egg I've ever seen on a person's face. It was on Jason's head. He didn't cry. He might have cried, I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I didn't cry.
Flash forward 20-something years, I just put my thumb into the table saw. And the one person that I called was Jason, who I'd sent to Home Depot to pick up some things. And Jason, being the friend that he is, didn't hesitate for a second to ask if an 1.5 ABS Sani T was going to work as well as 290s, because he already had the cart half full with the list that I gave him, and it would be okay to check out before he came home. And I said, yeah, that is totally true. He got me there before I bled out. And a few years later, we would find ourselves once again reacquainted with that exact bay of the Ballard Swedish ER when I took Jason down there. And it's hard for me to make light of this, even though I don't think you've ever once been down, but that night with the garage door devastated me. And if you want to know how somebody responds in a crisis situation, if you've never put yourself there, I will say this personally, I did horribly. When I assessed the situation, all I had to do was find my car keys. And I bet I ran damn near an Olympic marathon inside that house before I gave up and said, Jason, we're taking your truck. So I delivered him to the ER and had to make a call to Kim. And I said, Kim, there's been a bad accident and Jason's hand is completely effed up. And Kim said, I don't get it. And I was like, no, it's not a joke. He's really messed up. We're at Ballard. And she said, are you serious? And it took about, whatever. It seemed like 5 minutes, but I couldn't convince Kim that I wasn't joking. And finally, she was on her way there. And I sat and waited. I didn't go back because I'm not good with that kind of stuff. I didn't go into medicine for a reason. When Kim got there, she looked a little pale and she said, "Do you know what parking is like in Ballard?" And we went back to the ER, where I don't know whether Jason was just in extreme shock or he'd already been heavily sedated. But he was just sort of like, kind of grinning, arm, over the, I don't know what the technical term is for the stand where they put somebody's half-severed hand, and it was covered, and he was making jokes, and we were laughing, and everything was good, and his color had started to return, so he started to feel better. And Kim was sort of she sort of squatted down in the corner. I thought you were going to pass out. And this is when I knew. Jason will say that he knew a week after they met. I heard the story was 3 weeks. But when he knew that he was going to marry Kim, well, for me, I always sort of knew they were going to be together forever. I didn't know they were going to necessarily get married. But well, because we live in a sort of new age. We don't, When the attending ER doc came in, and he said, so we looked at your X-rays, and pretty good chance you're going to lose your pinky. And Jason said, "I don't care, cut it off." When he said, "Will I ever wear a ring?" And the doctor said, "With a lot of surgery and a lot of rehabilitation, possibly." And Jason did that sort of internal fist pump where he just said, "Yes." I knew that all he wanted to do was to get a ring on that finger and marry that girl. And when Kim was so willing to accept a part of a man, missing so much of what it is to be a man, I knew that she would be forever with him. So, in closing, I maybe have a couple more.
You gotta go 1 more minute. You gotta win.
Jason and I had a long run. We lived together, we bought a house together. We did so much together. But the bottom line is, Kim was able to offer him something that I never, ever could. And that's somebody who gave a damn about the Mariners. I just want to give it a second. In closing, I want to say they did it right. They did it by the book. Unless that book was the Bible, in which case, not quite. But by my book, and my book, perfect.
How long was that? I got a bet.
What's the time? 25 minutes.
25 minutes?
That's pretty good, man.
45?